the agenda for a minute.
Yeah, that's okay. It's fine. Spooking us up here.
Is it?
Yeah.
What should I do with it?
Don't do that.
Laptop, your tablet, yeah. Share with
I downloaded a copy of the agenda.
You probably have to share it with
Yeah,
Gary.
I did
Website.
too.
Is that that microphone?
It was in our packet. That's why
I got
I
it from
guess
up
I
here.
didn't bring it.
The light's still on?
No, that's your manual control.
Oh, okay. I have to share it, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'm not talking.
You're gonna do all the talking anyway.
No, I'm not.
Okay, we have a quorum. We'll call the March meeting to order of the Town Board of Liberty Grove. The clerk will note that all supervisors, with the exception of Mr. Cavazos, are here. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. If you have cell phones, if you would kindly turn them off or put them on vibrate so as not to interrupt the meeting, it would be appreciated. And a reminder to the board to please speak into the microphones. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? If not, I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second by Farber. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. We have the minutes from the February 19th regular board meeting. If there are no additions or corrections, I will move their approval as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Gaz. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We also have the minutes from the special board meeting of the same date, February 19th. Any changes or additions?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the February 19th special board meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Gaz, seconded by Forkert. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Treasurer's report, Janet?
Okay, in the municipal checking account, we began with a balance of $3,916,984.01. Wait just 1 second. We transferred to checking. Our tax deposits came in and some interest, brought that balance at the end of February to $988,640.53. The money market account began with a balance of $460,142.46. I ran a deposit through that account, and interest brought that balance to $460,395.65. In the checking account, we began with a balance of $52,167.57. Deposits and transfers, FICA withholding, payroll and disbursements brought that balance at the end of February to $154,819.60. The utility district funds ended with a balance of $249,438.61. And in the North Shore Money Market account, we got 2 cents of interest for $515.86, with a total in all at the end of February in all town accounts, $1,835,810.25.
Any questions? If not, I'll move to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Gaz. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Going on to public input. This is the portion of the meeting where the public is, can make comments on any subject they'd like, and also on any of the agendized subjects. Anybody wish to speak on an agendized subject? Jim?
Number 11.
Yes,
Possibly number 10.
10. Carol?
Possibly number 11. And what?
Anybody else? Yes, Mike?
11 and 13, please.
Mike? 11, 13. Mike?
Number 12, please.
Anybody else? Yes, Carl?
Is the agenda different?
Possibly 12, too.
They're talking on 11, not 12.
You?
Let's do 13.
13?
Yeah, that's the same agenda I have.
Okay. Any, Carol?
No, are we going on?
Okay, anybody with general comments? Okay, if you wouldn't mind stepping into the microphone, please.
Okay. Hi, I just have a question about an agenda item on, I believe it might have been the last meeting, if not, it was one, either this last one or the one before, that related to the Top of the Thumb Snowmobile Club's request for permission to use various roads. And I was confused because there was a list up there, and I think we were seeing the names of those for the first time because we hadn't checked to see whether the list was on the website. But I was confused because there was no discussion by the board related to this list being approved, and I figured out that you must know something that we don't know. And since that, because my concern is where on Garrett Bay Road there might be snowmobiles driving, and it doesn't connect to any of the roads that are on here, so I wondered how the snowmobiles would get to Garrett Bay Road. And I spoke with Lou Cavazzos about it recently, and he seemed to indicate that it was not going to be long lengths of road that the snowmobiles would be on, but mostly just connecting private properties that are in various areas, and that the road would be used for a connection. Now, would you clarify that, please, so that we know? Because, and also, I'd like to know if you have a map that one can see as to where the entire route of the snowmobile club's trails might be. That would be very helpful.
No map, and I believe it is correct that it's just a connection between two private trails.
Oh, okay. So basically, they're just going that way, across the road, rather than
I'm not sure
mostly,
where those
but,
trails are.
or a little ways down to get to the next
To the
one?
next.
Okay. Do we know what those private roads or private trails might be?
We'd have to get a hold of the snowmobile club.
And
Okay.
you could
Get that
probably
clarified.
contact the snowmobile
Yeah.
club, and I'm sure they
Okay,
have maps, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
It would be nice to know, just for safety's sake, because we, to be alert as to where they might be some year in the future, so that one knows that there are going to be snowmobiles there and that we can be watching for them. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else, general comments, please? Okay, going on then to the next item on the agenda is consider resolution supporting Senate Bill 566. This has to do with the statewide 9/11 emergency system. The resolution is up on the board. Any questions from the board itself? All right, I will read the resolution. It's Resolution 2-14 in support of Senate Bill 566. Whereas under current law, County 9/11 emergency telecommunication systems are funded as follows. Counties may levy charges, the so-called county option landline fee up to 40 cents, and the county levy. And whereas the current method of funding 9/11 emergency telecommunication services is no longer viable due to the decline of the number of landline phones and the concurrent increase in the demand for 9/11 services. And whereas Senate Bill 566 relates to the state 911 telecommunication services and addresses, among other things, funding issues, this bill does all of the following: eliminates police and fire protection fee, requires statewide funding for 911 emergency telecommunication system, requires the Public Service Commission to contract for the establishment and maintenance of such a system, and reimburse communications providers for related costs, allows the PSC to make grants to public safety answering points, and creates a 16-member state 911 council, and includes other provisional related to the foregoing. And whereas the Door County Legislative Committee, the Door County Board of Supervisors, the Village of Sister Bay, and the Sister Bay and Liberty Grove Fire Board have met, considered, and have voted unanimously in support of Senate Bill 566. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Liberty Grove Board of Supervisors does hereby express its support of Senate Bill 566. Be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to Governor Walker, Representative by Senator Lassay, and the Door County Administrator Maureen Murphy. I move the adoption of Resolution 214.
Second.
Second by Gaz. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lowry,
Yes.
Goss,
Aye.
Farber,
Yes.
Borkert. Aye. Carries 4-0.
Consider resolution supporting the mutual aid box alarm system, MABUS. Any questions before I read away? Gary, would you like to read it?
I don't have a copy of it.
Oh, okay. It
I do
should,
now.
yes, okay. All right. All right, this is Resolution 3-14, whereas the Wisconsin Statute 66.03.01, parent 2, authorizes any municipality to contract with other municipalities and with federally recognized Indian tribes and bands in this state for the receipt of or furnishing of services such as fire protection, emergency medical services. Such a contract may be with municipalities of another state as provided in Wisconsin Statute 66.03, 03, parent 3, parent B, and whereas the Wisconsin Statute 323.13, parent 1, parent D, provides that the standards for fire, rescue, and emergency medical services shall include the adoption of the Intergovernmental Cooperation Mutual Aid Box Alarm System as a mechanism that may be used in deploying personnel and equipment in a multi-jurisdictional or multi-agency emergency response throughout Wisconsin and neighboring states. Whereas the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin must approve any agreement between a Wisconsin municipality and a municipality of another state, and said agreement was approved by the Attorney General of the state of Wisconsin on December 22nd, the year 2000, and whereas said agreement was submitted to the governor of the state of Wisconsin for his concurrence, which was obtained and later adopted under Wisconsin Statute 66.0303, parent 3A and B. And whereas the Town of Liberty Grove Town Board believes that intergovernmental cooperation for purposes of public safety and protection should be encouraged, and that the mutual aid box alarm agreement would afford these benefits to county residents by coordinating fire protection and emergency medical services as recommended in Resolution 3-14, dated 3/19/14. And whereas it is in the best interest of the Town of Liberty Grove to enter into the proposed mutual aid box alarm system agreement to provide for the coordination of fire protection and emergency medical services in the event of a large-scale emergency, natural disaster, or man-made catastrophe. Now therefore be it resolved that the mutual aid box alarm system agreement, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference, is hereby approved, and the town chairman and town clerk be authorized to execute the same on behalf of the Town of Liberty Grove. I'll move the approval of Resolution 3-14.
Second.
Seconded by Farber. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Borkert. Aye. Farber,
Aye.
Goss,
Aye.
Lowry,
Aye.
carried 3-0.
Okay.
4-0 rather.
4-0. We are done with the reading of resolutions, thankfully. Number 9, consider accepting credit card system for town receipts. Janet has the information on this. You should, everybody has information in their packet as well. Janet?
We have had requests for, people will come in for their cemetery lots and they want to pay for them with a credit card. And up to this point, we've always said we don't accept it. We have run into a situation for help with maintenance at the post office. And under the agreement with the post office, they are responsible financially for snow removal and various things. But with the new setup of, I don't know, hierarchy, they will no longer issue a check for payment of a bill. They have to pay with it with a credit card. So, in order for us to provide services to the post office, we have to accept credit cards. And, it isn't like they're the only ones that are asking. There are other people that have asked for this. So, I checked into a couple of different ways to do this, and the county is using a system for their real estate collection. It's a company called Point and Pay. There are no costs to the town. All the costs are borne by the people who use it. And I've outlined what the different costs would be if they use a credit card versus a debit card or a check. And, I don't see any financial downside to this. The county, I went in and sat with them in the treasurer's office. She showed me the reports that they get. They're very, thorough. Point and Pay collects their money, and then it is deposited into our account 2 days later. So, it's a way for us to accept a credit card payment and not have to pay the 4.5% or something that it would cost us if we ran it through a bank.
Questions?
I think we ought to do it.
There is a contract we have to sign with them. They want us to agree to use their services for 3 years. As long as we agree to the service for 3 years, then, we get a swiping machine in our office for people that want to pay for it right there. So that would be the only other thing. And then we will not accept, what we do is we outline to them different types of payments that we'll accept, and we will tell them we will not accept real estate taxes. Then that way we don't get confused with the county.
Is there a penalty for withdrawing early?
They didn't say anything. I have a 20-page document here that, if we agree to go with them, we've got to read through that and sign on the dotted line. But the guy was very upfront with me. He didn't mention that.
Do we have or do we need to set up a protocol of, minimum we'd receive? I noticed you said in your little narrative here that, no dog licenses, obviously, that's pretty small fee. Is there a cutoff point, or is it only just certain accounts that can be paid?
No, we can do dog fees. If somebody wants to pay for their dog fee with a debit card or, a direct, we can do that.
Okay.
It's just, if somebody's gonna write a $3 check for a dog tag, they need to understand it's gonna cost them $3 more to write that check. So, we just have to be very upfront with everybody and let them know of the fees that they will incur should they choose to use this method.
Okay.
But I don't think we should limit it to take, whatever anybody wants to do.
Will the post office have to come to our office to swipe their card here?
No, you can pay the bill online.
Okay.
The MasterCard Visa has a provision that you can't put a dollar limit on what you
Oh.
accept.
Okay, well, yeah.
So
Okay. Any
I
other-
don't see the downside to this.
No.
No, nor do I. Sounds like good deal.
Any other questions? If not, I'll make a motion to authorize the treasurer to proceed with the point and pay system installation and acceptance.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Gaz. Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, going on to number 10. Consider discussion of agreement regarding walkway pier between Town Dock and Heritage Harbor in Ellison Bay. We have a number of people that wanted to speak on this.
Just Kevin.
Kevin,
Sure.
go ahead, please. Just one.
That's all I got.
Oh.
Of course, we'd be happy to sit down and talk with you all. I was told that the last time the owners of the Larson property sat down with town representatives was actually decades ago. Jim Smith is much more familiar with the history than I am, but I'm more familiar with the pier itself. If we could perhaps meet on site initially and walk the site, I'm available just about any time. I work right across the street, and we could just do it at yours and Jim's convenience and time. That's all I had to say.
Okay.
Jim Smith did call and say that he couldn't make it tonight. And I told him it probably wasn't essential that he be here because we were just, I figured we were just gonna set up a time and a schedule to meet, and we'd do some negotiating at that point, and that wouldn't happen tonight.
Gary, you want to make comments on this? It's,
I
Lou's not here.
guess until all that snow is gone, I don't think we should hazard going down there and walking out on there, because it's tipped over, and it is covered with snow. But, I think we need to sit down and talk about it, because that line runs through at least 1/3 of that dock. And like I said, the dock is tipped. They're gonna have at least one, if not three or more boats tied up to that dock. And there are already boards that have been ripped off of it by the contractor that's putting in the docks. There's some wave boards that are gone. So, yeah, we need to sit down and go over that whole thing with them.
Okay,
And I think Kevin's aware of all of that already.
yeah. Do you just want to see if you can set up a meeting time? Do you want it to go through Parks and Properties?
Yeah, probably should.
Okay,
Should start there.
all right.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll set up a, Kevin, go ahead.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Sure.
The boards that you're referring to, are those the ones that were removed last fall from a different
Yeah.
contractor, and those were never restored? Is that
Correct.
Okay.
The uprights that held the wave boards to the dock,
Right.
and then he also damaged or took off some of the actual dock boards
Okay.
out on the end.
I apologize that those weren't restored, but I will be happy to talk about it.
I think the ice came in before he could do anything with it.
Gotcha.
Okay, all right, we'll refer that to Parks and Property then. Going on to number 11, consider adopting policy for the use of town facilities. Janet, you want to make a brief comment on this first, and then we'll hear from the people who wanted to speak on it.
This is coming to the board as a result of a request for one of our residents to see our policy for renting our spaces free to organizations. And I explained we did not have an actual written policy. So I think if we're going to offer the buildings or building to somebody to use it for free, I need to have some guidelines, and I think it's good to put it down in writing. Retirement is coming soon, and I'm gonna take my head with me, and along with my head comes what I remember, so let's put it down on paper.
And in checking things, it's been kind of, my understanding, it's been kind of an unwritten rule of thumb that we've been using for years.
Well, we had an initial conversation And I looked back on the minutes, the board minutes, and geez, I want to say it was 2006 in June, where the request came from the service club to allow, clubs in the town to use the town hall free of charge. And at that point in time, there was no definite, nothing was set in stone. There was a discussion that took place. Nancy remembers a couple of items in that discussion, but there was nothing put in writing. So I think that's something we need to do.
Okay, Jim, you want to call these out?
I have a bunch of questions. One of them is, I'm wondering why you would see fit to charge for facilities in some instances and not others. If there's a cost incurred to the town for the use of facilities, certainly it would seem appropriate to recover those costs. If there are no costs, or if you're contemplating a charge more than those costs and in effect making a profit off of the use of facilities, I'm wondering why you would discriminate. Why not have a one-size-fits-all policy for charging for the use of facilities? And secondly, I'm wondering why you would distinguish in your proposed policy between different facilities. I guess there are three in question, right? The town hall and the fire station and the community center. Am I right? Is that the extent of the available facilities? So as long as the parties pay whatever you decide is an appropriate rate to cover your costs, and as long as they leave the property in good condition and have posted bond, or however you want to develop the policy, I don't understand why you would distinguish between the use of those facilities differently, one from the other. And still another observation, if you did distinguish, as you propose, I guess, between profit and nonprofit organizations, please keep in mind that there are organizations which are clearly nonprofit, but are not 501c3 organizations, which may be because they haven't bothered to apply, or it may be because they're not eligible in the eyes of the IRS to be tax exempt. There's a difference between being a nonprofit organization and a tax exempt organization in the eyes of the federal government. Again, I'm not sure why you care, or if you should care. And then one final observation, which is, I guess, obvious, is that there should be a finalized rate sheet, which doesn't exist right now. So hand in hand with developing this policy, there should be a promulgated rate sheet that reflects that policy. Thank you.
Carol?
Well, Jim had asked some of the questions that I asked, but I'm not sure to the extent of requesting information that I would like to request from you, so I think there may be a little overlap. Thanks to Janet, we were able to get off of your website your bullet points on what the proposal for your policy would be, so it helped to give us something to look at ahead of time, and I appreciate that. I also am confused as to why some of the buildings, why only one building, that is the town hall, is one that could be used for free, and not the other two. They each have a different personality. Each one might be more appropriate for a meeting than the other two, and I wish that you would reconsider the idea of restricting the free use of a building to only this one, because this one is very, very large. Their space is large. It is not particularly private. If you do need to have an opportunity to close the doors and discuss something in private during a meeting, as you do with closed session. And of course, the Women's Club is much more rustic and homey and so forth, and it depends on what type of a meeting you're having as to which one you might prefer. I would like you to please define special event, which is on number 1. Special events do not qualify as meetings. And I'm wondering what you mean by a special event. And, for example, does it mean having anything to do with serving food after the meeting? I hope not, because almost every organization will often have coffee and cookies or something after their formal meeting. But I would love to, I hope you will address that in your discussion. And then number 2, that they must be open, your meetings held free at the hall must be open to the public and not limited to members only. And again, I think all of our organizations do have anyone who can join those organizations. We belong to 5 or 6 organizations in in Door County, 4 of which are in Liberty Grove. And I know that the boards are welcoming any members to come and anyone who is interested in being a member to come. However, I think it would be inappropriate to put it in the newspaper or post signs around saying, everybody, please come to our meeting, because they are issue specific or interest specific, and I don't know that that should be necessarily a criteria. Later on in number 4, you do say that that it should be open, that membership should be open to the public, and I do agree with that, and I feel that, and I think all of our organizations in Liberty Grove do. The other thing I guess I would plead with you is to allow the fire station space and the other to be used for free. I don't think either of them is used very often, in fact, far less than this building space is. So I feel, I'm asking why restrict the free use of space just to this particular room, and I hope you will address that. We do have, and I would like to give it to you, we belong to several organizations, but the one particularly I'd like to give you some information on is a copy of our Articles of Association for you to have in your file, so that you know what our goals are, what our purposes, what our activities are, so that I think it proves that we are indeed a service organization for not just Liberty Grove, but all of Northern Door. Thank you.
Mike?
Janet answered my questions, thanks.
Carl?
Yes, Carl Zoppi, good evening. I'm here in this particular instance as president of the Northern Door Neighbors Association, and we went through this with Janet last week, where we happened to meet at the fire station and paid the requisite $100 fee. We have a small group, especially during the winter. That size room is ideal for our purposes, and I might add here, it's no mystery to anybody that the fire station is grotesquely underutilized as a building up here, and you should encourage more meetings in that building. As far as the Northern Door Neighbors Association goes, we are a service nature in this town. Our membership is open to the public for a $20 membership fee. We are not 501c3 registered, obviously, and we admit that. But on the other hand, I will add here that for example, the Sister Bay Lions Club and the Kiwanis Club, they are not 501c3 organizations. There are plenty of other organizations up here, and it is a very difficult process to get a 501c3 designation, and we don't feel that we need it. But we do feel, in my case, as a permanent resident up here and as a taxpayer on our property taxes, plus the notes that we're paying off in these two buildings, that there should be some consideration given to groups that are headquartered and based in Liberty Grove to the use of the facilities here without onerous charges. So we request that you give some consideration to that fact and the merits of our argument. Thank you.
Okay, board? Comments?
Well, yeah, I've got a comment. I agree that there should be something in writing. And many of the towns and villages that have charges for their buildings and use on their buildings, which would be probably all of them, do have written policy. The one thing I would say regarding free buildings or free use of the buildings, if the buildings are funded with taxpayer dollars, then everybody is paying for that building and maintenance. However, when a meeting becomes private and those other taxpayers that are paying for that building are not allowed in, then there should be a fee. Just my opinion on that, but it seems fair.
Would that apply also to any member in the community that does not wish to join the organization?
Correct.
Yeah.
They're paying taxes as well. The use of, for instance, and to just use an example, if somebody wanted to rent the hall or pay for the women's club building for a wedding party or a graduation, that's fine. But if it's free, really, it should be open to the public. It's a building that is supported by all taxpayers, and if they're not allowed to be in that building, then only a very few are reaping the benefit of those tax dollars. And that, to me, is not fair.
Yeah, and I should point out again that the other buildings are available, but there's a fee applied.
Yeah.
And it takes time and it takes effort on behalf of either the administrator or the office assistant to go and open those buildings and to make sure that everything is set up. And in some cases, it takes the member of the town crew as well. And as it's been pointed out to us, we need to find ways of making their time more efficient. So if there's a cost involved to open up one of those buildings, then I think rightly there should be a cost to who wants to be in there.
Janet, have you checked with, Sister Bay and Ephraim? And it seems to me, and I could be disremembering this, but it seems to me that our fees for our buildings are right in there or even less than what's being charged adjacent to us.
I was going to try to call some other municipalities this afternoon, but didn't have time to do that. I know from being involved with Fall Fest that the fee to use the Old Town Hall, Sister Bay says they'll waive the fee for Fall Fest for Sister Bay Advancement to use the building. So I do know that there are fees to use it. Whether they charge organizations on a regular basis, how they handle that, I don't know. I'd have to call and check.
Yeah. The only ones I can really remember are Village of Ephraim, because I worked there 12 years. And I know when I was working there, the Village Hall was $150.
Yep.
It was less for a not-for-profit, but it did have to be 501c3. They also split it out into taxpayers, residents, if you will, or taxpayers and non-taxpayers. So each category had a taxpayer, not-for-profit, for-profit, non-taxpayer, for-profit, not-for-profit, and then they had the same thing for special events like wedding, graduation. If you were a taxpayer, you got a break, but everybody paid a fee for it, and if you're a non-taxpayer, you paid more.
Well, we do have a fee schedule. And the fee schedule is broken down to private party, nonprofit community organization, nonprofit non-community organization, for-profit community organization. You know, we do have a fee schedule.
Okay.
The issue here, I think, is to define, to come up with a policy to define who uses it for free. Because I can certainly just go to the fee schedule to determine how much, you know, a nonprofit community group would pay at any one of our buildings. It's the people, it's who uses it for free. And also too, are all the buildings included in that free, or are we gonna limit it to one, or, you know, how do you wanna handle that?
Well, I would suggest we limit it to the town hall. For free. Do you, no, you don't have a copy of the fee schedule with you, do you? You can look it up.
We have it.
Is this what you're referring to? No, it's only proposed back in 2012.
Well, she's looking it up. Any other comments, questions anybody has? You find it? Oh, you got it. Okay. It's on the board.
This was approved by the board, wasn't it?
Yes, and these fees were, the Parks and Property Committee did this last fall before
That's
budget
fairly
time.
recent, Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a wedding nonprofit?
Well, it would seem, as long as we have a fee schedule, it makes sense that that would be applicable to the policy.
Policy.
Now, does a nonprofit, non-community refer to a special event? Or do we have to define special event as was suggested?
Nonprofit, non-community, example, Peninsula Music Festival. They're not Liberty Grove specific, they are nonprofit, so nonprofit, non-community. They use the Women's Club once a year for their annual picnic.
I would think a special event then falls under private party. Unless obviously it's a nonprofit community or nonprofit non-community.
It's pretty extensive.
Mr. Chairman?
Nope. We're at the board. Okay,
Are these the only two buildings then that we consider?
no, we've got basically there's the North Fire Station, the Women's Club in this building.
Okay. And the North Fire Station, is that down below this, or
No,
we don't
no.
have anything yet?
What we
Yeah,
would do is use, you know, the women's club, probably the women's club fee schedule and just transfer it to fire station.
Both of them, okay, so it'd be Women's Club and North Fire Station at that fee schedule. And currently, it's only what, an occasional church group that uses the town hall for free? Or was that a suggestion?
I think that's gone by the wayside, right?
Doesn't the VFW use the town hall?
Yes.
Yes, but there's a provision in that, where are we?
Number 4.
Yeah, veterans organizations may also use the location with the same scheduling requirements.
Okay, so these, service nature. So these 7 points are what's being recommended? Okay. I think that's reasonable.
If you wanted to look at number 4 and change the requirement of a 501c, you know, and make that definition different, because it, with, like, in the case of Northern Door, you know, their organization, they aren't big enough, they don't want to register as a 501c3, you know, as long as the meetings are open to the public and the public is welcome to join, I don't know that it has to be a 501c3. I put that in there only because that was the previous discussion that we had with the service group and the historical society. We had that discussion before.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
No, I
that.
don't either.
Not as long as it's open to the public.
As long as
Right.
it's open to the public, yeah.
Yeah, having just gone through doing the 501c for
It's
GODC.
hard.
Yes, never want to do that again.
You want to change that in number 4, membership and meetings
Yep.
open to the public?
That's a good point.
Yes, yes.
And then we'll take out the 501c registered with the state of Wisconsin.
And then also, you know, Carol asked to have a special event. You know, it says, special events do not qualify as meetings. I think the intent of that is just to, you know, you've got the service group, and they're gonna hold an appreciation night for so-and-so. And it's gonna be a barbecue. Is that considered something that we let them have here free of charge? It's not a meeting.
And it's not open to the public. Probably not,
Well, that one is kind of limited to their membership.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they're holding a meeting that's,
It's like our volunteer picnic at the Historical Society in August.
right,
It's not open to the public,
right.
But it is a special event.
yes. And it's on the calendar.
So do we need to define special event? Or is special event understood?
It's a non-meeting.
Any event that is not a meeting
Yeah.
does not qualify as a meeting.
I mean, we can drill this baby down as deep as we want. But it's kind of,
So we can just put in there, any event not, we'll come up with the words, any event that is not a formal meeting does not qualify for free use of the town hall? Something like
well,
that?
it says special events do not qualify as meetings.
Okay.
I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah, and just, nobody's gonna say that after your meeting, you can't sit around and have cookies. That's not a problem.
Graham crackers and milk.
Yeah, share.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll move the approval of the policy for use of town facilities for meetings and organizations with the following changes, that on number 4, it says organizations should be of a service nature to the town, membership and meetings open to the public, and that would be the end of that sentence, and we'd eliminate and 501c registered of the state of Wisconsin. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gaz. Any further discussion?
Now, this is strictly the town hall.
Mm-hmm. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, going on to number 12, consider review of Heritage Road Program and Guidelines. This is coming out of a discussion at the last highway meeting. There seems to be a little bit of a sense of a need of direction, I guess, on this. And during the course of that meeting, Nancy happened to mention to me that we probably ought to take this up at the town board level, and I concurred in that I think we need to clarify a few things and work through this a little bit, so we can kind of give direction back to the highway committee, so. Do you have anybody speaking on this? Mike, I believe, right?
Mike Fark.
Mike, please.
Yeah, thanks, John. Until you just explained kind of what this agenda item is about, I didn't really know exactly
Right.
what you plan to cover. It was a little bit vague, but, so Mike Barkey, Door Bluff Road, and thanks for the opportunity for the public input. I'm really glad to see this on the agenda because it came out of, I think, the Highway Committee and the town board meeting and so on. But on the other hand, I'm a little bit concerned because Supervisor Cavazos, who was the one who made the motion to put a moratorium on the Heritage Roads program until the end of 2013, and also heads, I guess it's a subcommittee, if that's the right terminology, to sort of organize things and where it's going. He's not present at this meeting. And I'm sort of wondering if he should be here because I think he would have some input, but maybe he's passed along some information or some questions to ask or some things to cover that would be important. I know how important it is to get things on the agenda and get to them regularly now that the board's only having a monthly meeting and the highway committee quarterly. The next highway committee meeting I don't think is until June. There is another board meeting between now and when the next highway committee meeting is. So I'm just thinking maybe if you would consider that Lou Cavazos be here. I don't know if he has any special input or things he had in mind, but he's kind of the person that was behind a lot of this as far as the moratorium and the subcommittee, that his input would be valuable. So that's all I suggest.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Is that Mike?
That's it. Oh,
Carl?
let's see, Carl.
I'll pass.
Okay. I believe Lou's group is working on the signage aspect of the Heritage Roads.
We haven't met yet.
Right,
It's
right.
been, winter, and now he's gone down to Florida. I'm leaving the first of the month for 2 weeks, so it's been hit and miss a lot. But Mike brings up a good point. I don't know that it's real wise to rush into doing anything, and it would be nice if our subcommittee could get together and discuss the signage and stuff. It also would be nice if Lou were here to discuss, and we've got time before the next highway committee meeting to put together, I think, what the highway committee is looking for from the board.
Okay, anybody else?
I agree with Nancy. I think this ought to
All right.
be
I'd move to
postponed.
table then,
Okay, the motion to table
yeah.
till the next board meeting?
I'll second the motion.
Second. Roll call, please. You want to read the motion just to make sure that we've got it correct?
The motion is to table the item number 12 until the next board meeting.
Okay, good. Roll call.
Borkert,
Aye.
Farber,
Aye.
Goss,
Aye.
Lowry,
Yes.
carries 4-0.
Okay, going on to number 13, consider wood material for best practices at Sand Bay and Europe Bay Parks.
Mike Mercier has got a sign up.
Michael Mercier, Ellison Bay. I just wanted to clarify, is this the, I apologize, I haven't been to some of the recent meetings, but is this regarding like what's going to be used in what they're calling the cord walks?
Yes.
For the beach renovations and such?
Yes.
Okay. And so wood is being considered as the material as compared to using a composite or a recycled material, or I'm just trying to clarify what,
This was,
if there's a decision already been made, or.
the request was to investigate the cost of cedar versus treated,
Okay,
and that's what this is tonight.
okay. So the composite material's not part of the conversation anymore then, or, okay.
I believe so.
Yeah, and this comes out of, the Door County Parks is proposing treated wood. And none of this is gonna cost the town, basically. But there was a discussion as to whether we should go to the composite or perhaps, and I believe Frank was talking about doing a cedar. And we kinda ruled out the composite and are back to the cedar and looking at the costs, as Bud
Okay.
explained, so.
Okay.
You know, Door County, we had originally talked about using E-Pay for long life. But they will not fund the total cost of that. I believe we had to come up with something like $30,000 or $40,000.
30 plus, yeah.
So that's when it was decided to go with treated.
I guess my main concern was, a while back when a fellow coworker of mine at Lampert's, I got to see some of the plans and some of what was preliminarily being talked about, and the issue with the composite material was that the way it was designed, the composite can only span so far according to it's not really a structural property, so I just wanted to make sure that what exactly was, obviously it would probably be the most durable, as would the E-Pay, but I can understand from cost restraints that would be a challenge, so I appreciate the clarification, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Bud?
Hugh.
Oh, Hugh, I'm sorry.
Hugh Mulligan. I'm not sure I have a lot to add. This, all these projects come through the Door County Soil and Water Department. And I've been familiar with that for a number of years. I know like the Ridges Road Beach has one, and Egg Harbor, the Village of Egg Harbor has one. And it's all treated and it's all been working just fine. So I hope that would be what you would consider to do tonight, use the treated material. Thank you.
Okay, that's it? Bud?
Yes, I had talked to Rask Construction last week, and he was going to send up the specifications on natural cedar, but I didn't get them until this morning, so that's why I've got the handout on your desk. He did give numbers for Holtz Park and Sand Bay. He gave quotes for a standard cedar and what's called C and better cedar. When I talked to him on the phone originally, he said and I think it's explained briefly here that the standard cedar would have larger knots in it. The C and better would have smaller knots, and possibly the knots would not fall out as quickly or at all. Not that the other ones would, but on the second sheet here of the handout, I've got Holtz Park first. On the left-hand side under A, I've got the standard cedar. The difference in price would be $49,536 versus the $521, so it'd be about $15 more. The C and better cedar under B on the right-hand side actually comes out to $60,561, or about $12,000 more for Holtz Park. On the second page, for Sand Bay, on the left-hand side, the standard cedar comes out to 86,900, or about $4,300 more than the original bid. And then using the sea and better cedar on the right-hand side comes out to actually about $18,000 more. As I understand it, the last time I talked to Soil and Water was when Brian Forrest was there yet, that anything over these numbers on the quote here, we'd have to pay out for ourselves, like Gary had mentioned. Now there's on the Holtz Park there, we've got, like I said, about $15 more, so I'm sure that they could probably spring for that, or we could be no big deal. They also did say it would depend on what the other municipalities had used as far as their grant money. Maybe there would be some left over that we could benefit from that in using the more expensive material, but I don't know that at this point. I do know that they've got the tile in at Sand Bay. That's been all installed, so that's completed. And I guess once we decide on which material we're going to use, then they could go ahead with these cord walks and platforms as weather permits. And the original concern with the treated was that it would maybe start to warp and curl a little bit down the road, thinking that cedar would, natural cedar would not do that.
So we're looking at how much difference total?
Well, if you go with the standard cedar, you got $15 more on the Holtz Park, and you've got about 4,300 more for Sand Bay.
I could go for the $15, but I sure can't go for the 43. 4,300 that is.
That's
I still think from an aesthetic viewpoint, treated lumber has a yellow greenish tint, and the natural cedar is gonna be much more pleasant and local to what we're all used to having around us. Could we do something, Bud, like saying we'd prefer the cedar? If they could come up with the 4,500?
Yeah, well, we could get back to them and see what's happened now
Sure.
with,
I think that would be
with the
important.
winter. Maybe these guys have done something on their projects last fall yet that will indicate a final price, that they might have a little bit left over. We could, Dale Conkle has taken over now since Brian has left, so, could get back to him and see how that would work out.
They weren't aware of the cost when it was suggested either, so
No,
now
they were
they
not.
have an idea what the costs are,
Yeah.
and they might reconsider it.
And like I say, I just got this together this afternoon, so I didn't get a chance to call them up and see how things were going on that end, at Soil and Water.
Are they still in the grant process? That we don't know either?
I think,
I think
if I recall right, I think that it had to be done this year
Yeah, I think that's done.
for the, to get the applications in and get everything, or whatever is going on.
Well, I'd make a motion that we contact the Door County Soil and Water and indicate that our preference would be with the cedar, standard cedar, provide them with the cost, and see if, if they can, support that. And if not, we'll go with the treated.
I'll second that.
Okay. Further seconded by Forkett. Any further discussion?
I'd just like to say I'm disappointed. I thought the price might be closer, but I really do like the idea of locally sourced material and the cultural, hook of having cedar. But, yeah, unless we can do something else. with soil and water to better the cost differential. Yikes.
I have to buzz down there tomorrow, pick up the election materials, so maybe I can swing in
Do
there
you think
and
begging would help?
twist his arm a little bit.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, going on to operator licenses.
None submitted.
None submitted. Correspondence.
We have a email from Susie Watson regarding minutes. In regards to that, there's also a handout, not a handout, but a document that we printed from UW Extension here on minutes, which is kind of a PowerPoint, if you will. It gives a lot of information on what should and should not be in minutes. Anyone that wants to see that would be welcome to get a copy, or we can furnish them the website where we found it on. The DCEDC Annual Investors Luncheon is Monday, April 14th, from 12 to 1:45 p.m., $35 per person, or $330 for a table of 10. And the governor's been invited to speak at that, and there's a reservation form here if anyone would like to attend.
I made a suggestion that if any of the committee, any of the board members would like to attend, that they pay the $35 each. We'll put it out and see if we can, how many we can get, if we get any, so.
April 3rd, the RPC meets, and on the agenda is the temporary use proposal for the zoning text amendment. There's a webinar, What About Rural Broadband, hosted by UW Extension, April 17th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. There's also a high-speed broadband boot camp, May 21 to 22nd at Chula Vista Resort in Wisconsin Dells. We have the March report of the Towns Association. The Door County Tourism Zone Executive Committee and the regular commission is meeting tomorrow at the town of Bailey's Harbor at 9 a.m.
Interesting article in the Town Association Bulletin on annual meeting. Legal opinion.
A letter or a decision document issued to Attorney Jim Smith with a copy to the town on the Heritage Harbor application with the 8 conditions that were put on there. Outdoor lighting should be downcast, a stormwater runoff control plan implemented, vegetation along and within 35 feet of the high water mark retained. The parking lot landscape shall be installed and maintained per the plans. A barrier shall be placed between their property and the Kurtz property to the north, and encouraging them to get in contact with the neighbors to come to an agreement as what kind of barrier would be acceptable. Obstructions to the view from the marina access driveway to Highway 42 shall be removed. Restrooms shall always be made available, and the project shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal building and other codes and ordinances. The water in the town hall and the North Fire Station is safe to drink. Although we do have a iron issue in the fire station that we're working to get rid of in regards to the water softener down there. Notice of pending application for proposed piers for Heritage Harbor and Ellison Bay. The scenic byways, or Door County Coastal Byway Council is soliciting money to put toward a float in the parade. They did one for St. Patrick's Day, and I believe they're doing one for Old Ellison Bay Days also. So they're looking for some assistance to make a nice float.
I think we should send that one to finance.
The DNR announces that a grant from Noel's Nelson Stewardship Program has been awarded to support the acquisition of 40 acres of land in Liberty Grove by the Nature Conservancy. Doesn't say where that land is. And there's a letter from the town to the FCC requesting assistance, if possible, in establishing some communication towers here to improve the internet connections. Wisconsin Asphalt Pavement Association is putting on their annual seminar, April 10th, at Liberty Hall and Conference Center in Kimberly. That's it.
Okay. I want to make a comment about the minutes. I've done a lot of research on this, and I know Lou has done, and I believe some other board members perhaps have done this. Over the course of time, I've been on a lot of boards, a lot of different committees and so forth, and none of them have done minutes verbatim. And actually, minutes are to be the record of the action of the organization. And I'd like to read from Robert's Rules of Order, and the question, it's number question 15. It says, isn't it necessary to summarize matters discussed at a meeting in the minutes of that meeting in order for the minutes to be complete? The answer, no. Not only is it not necessary to summarize matters discussed at a meeting in the minutes of that meeting, it is improper to do so. Minutes are a record of what was done at the meeting, not a record of what was said. And that's from Robert's Rules of Order, 10th edition. So I think that the minutes that Bud has been recorded for the town have been more than adequate. And I see no reason why to change that procedure at this point in time. So, okay.
We do have a verbatim account of what's said at the meeting.
What's recorded? It's on YouTube. Yeah, so. Future meetings.
Tomorrow is the Tourism Zone Commission, as mentioned, at 9 a.m. Plan Commission meets Wednesday at 7 p.m., the 26th. April 1st is spring election, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The 3rd, as mentioned, RPC temporary uses, Sturgeon Bay. Sister Bay Utilities will meet on Tuesday, the 8th, instead of on April Fool's Day, 7 a.m. The annual meeting is the 15th at 7 p.m. Town Board, the 16th at 7 p.m. The hall will be closed on Good Friday, the 18th. The Fire Board meets on the 21st at 8 a.m. IT is scheduled for 7 p.m. the same day. The 22nd, GEODC meets at 10 a.m. The 23rd, Plan Commission is scheduled for 7 o'clock. And the 24th, the roundtable discussion here with businesses at 10 a.m. That takes us through April.
Okay. Bills. You have a revised list on there. The bill from Action Electric, about 2/3 of the way down for $2,600 has been pulled. There's some revision on that one. Otherwise, the rest of them are there as presented. Are there any questions? And if you notice the Bay Lake Bank one, about 1/3 of the way down, the interest on the fire truck, that's the new truck, am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one is paid off.
The one that's paid off already, basically, so. Okay, any other questions anybody has?
Move to pay the bills.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Gaz, seconded by Forkert. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. That takes us to, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.